There is a particular kind of silence that descends upon a workspace when the day begins to wind down. A soft, humming quiet that seems to vibrate with the energy of the hours that have passed. Close your eyes now and let yourself drift into this space of contemplation, imagining the gentle, rhythmic tapping of keys, the low, comforting drone of the ventilation system, and the pale, golden light of late afternoon filtering through the blinds. It is here, in these spaces of industry and routine, that we spend so much of our waking lives. We build structures, we solve problems, and we navigate the intricate maps of our careers. But we also bring our hearts with us, carrying the delicate weight of our emotions into the fluorescent brightness of the office or the digital intimacy of the remote screen. Tonight, we turn our minds to a question that sits at the intersection of our professional duties and our deepest human needs. A question that many have whispered to themselves in the quiet moments between meetings or during the commute home. It is the question of connection, of romance, and the boundaries that define our working lives. We ask, can the spark of affection that ignites between two colleagues lead to the extinguishing of a career? Can you be asked to leave simply for finding love in the place where you work? To understand this, we must first settle into the atmosphere of the workplace itself, visualizing it not just as a place of employment, but as a village, a community where paths cross and recross in a complex, woven pattern. It is natural, entirely natural, for connections to form here. When we work alongside others, we share in their triumphs and their frustrations. We see them under pressure, and we see them in moments of ease. There is a shared language that develops, a shorthand of knowing glances and inside jokes that builds a bridge between two minds. And so, it is no surprise that sometimes this bridge becomes something more, a path to affection that transcends the professional role. However, the world of work is built upon pillars of order and structure. It is an environment designed for productivity, for the clear execution of tasks, and for the maintenance of a certain kind of professional harmony. When the soft, unpredictable currents of romance enter this structured world, they can create ripples, waves that touch not just the two people involved, but the entire ecosystem around them. As we drift deeper into this subject, let us consider the foundation of employment itself. In many places, particularly in the United States, there exists a concept known as at-will employment. It is a phrase that sounds somewhat stark, perhaps even a little cold, but let us view it gently, as a simple state of being. It means that the relationship between an employer and an employee is voluntary, a mutual agreement to continue as long as both parties wish it. Under this broad, open sky of employment law, a company generally has the right to end that relationship for any reason, or for no reason at all, provided it is not discriminatory. This brings us to the gentle realization of the answer, a realization that floats into our awareness like a leaf landing on still water. Yes, in many cases, it is possible. One can be released from their duties for dating a coworker. But let us not hold this fact with fear or anxiety. Instead, let us hold it with understanding, seeing it as one part of the complex architecture of the professional world. It is rarely a matter of malice, but rather a matter of policy, of protecting the delicate balance of the workplace. Imagine, if you will, the invisible lines of authority that run through an office, like the meridian lines on a map. These lines dictate who reports to whom, Who holds the responsibility for reviews, for raises, for the assigning of tasks? When a romantic connection forms, it can blur these lines. It can make them hazy and indistinct. If a manager were to date a subordinate, the clarity of that map is lost. The objectivity required to lead, to critique, to reward, becomes clouded by the warmth of personal feeling. This is where the risk lies most heavily, and where the rules are often the strictest. Most organizations, like wise gardeners tending to a diverse plot, understand that human connection is inevitable. They know that people are not machines, that hearts do not simply switch off when the clock strikes 9. And so, rather than forbidding connection entirely, many companies create guidebooks. They write policies, gentle instructions meant to navigate these complex waters. These policies are not usually designed to punish love, but to preserve fairness. They are there to ensure that every person in that village feels secure, that no favoritism can take root, that the integrity of the work remains whole. Let yourself breathe in that concept, the idea of integrity. It is a solid, grounding word. It implies wholeness, consistency, and honesty. When we worry about the consequences of a workplace romance, we are often worrying about a perceived loss of integrity. We worry that our professional mask will slip, revealing the vulnerable human beneath. We worry that our judgment will be questioned, or that our presence will become a source of tension rather than contribution. It is a delicate dance, balancing the desire for closeness with the need for security. As we continue to relax, letting the tension drain from our shoulders and the worry fade from our minds, consider the nuance of the situation. Not all connections are viewed through the same lens. A quiet relationship between two peers, two people who work in different departments, who have no sway over each other's careers, is often viewed with a softer gaze. It is like two trees growing in the same forest, their branches touching, but their roots distinct. In these cases, the risk of dismissal is often lower, though the presence of policies still looms like a gentle mist in the background. But the fear of being fired, that sharp, sudden separation from one's livelihood, is a primal one. It speaks to our need for safety, for the resources to live and thrive. When we introduce the variable of dating, we are essentially gambling with that safety. We are placing something precious, our heart, on one side of the scale, and something vital, our career, on the other. It is a profound act of vulnerability. Let us visualize the employee handbook, often tucked away in a drawer or buried in a digital folder. It is easy to view these documents as dry, lifeless things. But tonight, let us see them as ancient scrolls of the workplace, codices that attempt to bring order to the chaos of human interaction. Within these scrolls, there may be clauses about conflict of interest or fraternization. These are the words that define the boundaries. They are the fences that mark the edge of the pasture. If one chooses to cross those fences, to step into the realm of office romance, It is usually done with a quiet awareness of the risk. And yet, people do it every day. In every city, in every office block that glows against the night sky, connections are forming. Hands are brushing against hands. Conversations are lingering a moment too long. And the quiet, magnetic pull of attraction is doing its work. The possibility of termination, of the end of the job, is often eclipsed by the brilliance of that new connection. So, as we rest here in the opening chapter of this journey, we acknowledge the truth without alarm. The answer is yes. The possibility exists. The structure of at-will employment allows for it. The desire for organizational order encourages it in certain conflicts. But it is not a certainty, nor is it a punishment for being human. It is simply a condition of the environment, a rule of the road in the professional landscape. We must also consider the silence of the unsaid. Often, it is not the relationship itself that causes the severance, but the disruption it brings. The drama, the distraction, the perceived lack of focus. When the harmony of the workspace is disturbed, that is when the protective mechanisms of the company engage. If the water remains still, if the work continues to flow like a steady river, the outcome can be quite different. Allow yourself to float on these thoughts, not trying to solve the puzzle, but simply observing the pieces. The workplace is a stage, and we are the actors, wearing our professional costumes. But beneath the costumes, the heart beats its steady, insistent rhythm, unconcerned with policies or handbooks, seeking only to find its match. In the sections to come, we will drift further into the nuances of disclosure, of navigating the hierarchy, and of finding peace amidst the uncertainty. But for now, just rest in the knowledge that the complexity of life is what makes it beautiful, and that even in the world of rules, the human spirit persists, quietly, gently, seeking connection in the quiet hum of the working day. And as we rest in that quiet hum, let us turn our gaze gently upward toward the invisible structures that hold the professional world together. There is a geometry to our working lives, a verticality that rises like the steel beams of a skyscraper, unseen behind the drywall, yet bearing the weight of the entire edifice. We speak now of hierarchy, of the ladder that stretches from the lobby to the clouds. In the realm of workplace romance, gravity plays a peculiar role. When two hearts meet on the same level, when the water flows horizontally between peers, the current is usually manageable. The risks, while present, are often soft ripples in a large pond. But when the connection spans the vertical distance, when one stands on a rung above the other, the dynamics shift, subtly, profoundly. Imagine a mountain with paths winding up its sides. One traveler guides the other, holds the map, directs the pace. This is the manager, the supervisor, the one entrusted with authority. When affection blooms across this divide, the air becomes thinner, the path more precarious. It is here, in this vertical space, that the company's protective instincts are most sharp. Consider the concept of power, not as a weapon, but as a shadow that stretches long in the afternoon sun. Even if the intentions are pure, even if the love is genuine and consensual, the shadow of power remains. Can a subordinate truly say no to a manager without fear? Can a manager truly evaluate a partner without bias? These are the questions that float in the minds of those who write the rules, the silent guardians of the corporate order. It is a matter of perception, of how the light hits the prism. To the couple, the relationship is a private sanctuary. But to the outside world, to the team members who sit in adjacent cubicles, to the colleagues who share the break room, the lens is different. If the manager grants a deadline extension, is it because of the project's needs or because of the dinner they shared the night before? If a promotion is awarded, is it merit or is it affection? This is the danger of the vertical romance. It is not necessarily the act of dating that invites termination, but the erosion of trust within the wider team. The perceived favoritism, the invisible tilt of the playing field. This is what disrupts the harmony of the hive. Most organizations, in their handbooks that sit quietly in drawers, draw a firm line here. They may tolerate the peer-to-peer connection, but they often forbid the transaction-subordinate bond. It is a boundary built to prevent the misuse of influence, to keep the waters clear. If you find yourself in this vertical alignment, the risk of being asked to leave, or to transfer, or to step down is significantly higher. It is the weight of the structure protecting itself against the potential for collapse. But let us drift away from the anxiety of power and move toward the concept of transparency. We enter the quiet room of disclosure. There is a heaviness in secrecy, a tension in holding one's breath. Walking through the office corridors, guarding every glance, measuring every word, it takes a toll on the spirit. It creates a tightness in the chest. Many policies encourage, or require, disclosure. They ask that you simply open the door and let the light in. Imagine the act of going to human resources not as a walk to the gallows, but as a moment of unburdening. It is the act of placing the truth on the table, plain and simple. We are seeing each other. 4 words that release the pressure valve. In some modern workplaces, this disclosure leads to a curious piece of administration. A document, crisp and white, waiting to be signed. They call it, somewhat clinically, a consensual relationship agreement. In the softer, whispered tones of the office, it is known as a love contract. Pause to consider the strange poetry of such a document. Here, the rigid world of law attempts to draw a box around the fluid, shapeless nature of human emotion. It asks you to confirm that the affection is mutual, that it is voluntary, that you understand the rules of the road. It is a paper shield designed to protect the company from the storms of the future. Should the relationship sour, should the love turn to resentment. It feels cold, perhaps, to sign a contract about your heart, to bring the ink and the stamp into the sanctuary of intimacy. But view it, if you will, as a form of clarity. It is a boundary line drawn in the sand, allowing you to say, yes, this is happening, and we are responsible for it. It transforms the secret into a known quantity, removing the power of the rumor mill. Once the paper is signed, the whispers lose their momentum. The mystery evaporates, leaving only the reality. And what of that reality? How does one navigate the days after the secret is out? We return to the image of the stage. The costumes remain. The roles must still be played. The professional mask must be worn with even greater care. There is a discipline required here, a gentle compartmentalization. Imagine a glass wall separating your personal life from your professional duties. On one side, there is the warmth of the relationship, the shared jokes, the comfort of connection. On the other side, the cool blue light of the workspace, the tasks, the meetings, the objectives. To remain safe, to keep the river flowing smoothly, one must learn to step through this glass wall without breaking it. Public displays of affection, the lingering touch, the argument carried over from breakfast. These are the cracks in the glass. These are the things that draw the eye, that invite judgment. The wise couple moves through the office like two ships on parallel courses, acknowledging each other, supporting each other, but never tangling their riggings in the open water. There is a peace to be found in this discretion. It is not about hiding. It is about respecting the space. It is about understanding that the office is a collective environment, a shared garden, and that your private bloom should not overshadow the other plants. We must also touch, with a feather-light touch, upon the legal reality of the ground beneath our feet. In many places, particularly in the vast landscapes of the United States, employment is described as at will. At will. Let the phrase float in your mind. It sounds almost whimsical, like the wind blowing where it chooses, but it carries a stark meaning. It means the bond between employer and employee is fragile. It can be dissolved by either party at any time, for almost any reason, or for no reason at all, provided it is not discriminatory. This creates a vast, open plain of uncertainty. Yes, technically, a company can sever ties simply because they dislike the complexity of your relationship. They do not always need a policy violation. They do not need a specific rule to be broken. They can simply decide that the fit is no longer right, that the energy has shifted. This realization, that the ground is not solid stone but shifting sand, can be unsettling. But let us not dwell in fear. Instead, let us use this knowledge to find our center. If the environment is at will, if the control we have is limited, then the only true anchor is our own conduct, our own professionalism, our own ability to deliver value, to be the calm in the chaos. If you are valuable, If your work speaks with a clear, strong voice, the company is far less likely to disturb the waters. Competence is a powerful shield. Excellence is a form of job security that no handbook can grant or take away. Think of the workplace as a complex ecosystem. It seeks stability. It seeks growth. It seeks to avoid pain. If a relationship causes pain, through drama, through distraction, through legal risk, the ecosystem will try to expel it. But if the relationship exists quietly, if the work continues to thrive, if the productivity remains high, the ecosystem often chooses to ignore the anomaly. It chooses the path of least resistance. So, the question, "Can you get fired?" dissolves into a different question. Are you disrupting the flow? Imagine yourself floating on that river again. You are holding the hand of another, but you are both swimming strongly, keeping your heads above water, moving with the current. As long as you swim, as long as you do not drag each other down, the river tends to carry you forward. There are exceptions, of course. There are rigid places, strict environments with zero-tolerance policies, often in finance or executive leadership, where the rules are iron gates that do not swing open. In those places, the choice is starker, the sacrifice is clearer. But for many, for the majority, there is a gray zone, a space of negotiation, a space where human nature and corporate policy perform a slow, careful dance. As we prepare to drift deeper into the final movements of this exploration, allow your shoulders to drop. Release the tension of the what-ifs. We have looked at the structures, the vertical ladders, the glass walls, the paper contracts. We have acknowledged the fragility of the at-will world. Now, we can begin to look inward. We can begin to look at how to find peace within this complexity, how to make decisions that honor both the heart and the livelihood. The sun is setting on the sharp edges of the office furniture, casting long, soft shadows across the carpet. The phones have stopped ringing. The hum of the servers is a distant lullaby. We are safe here, observing, understanding, waiting for the final pieces of wisdom to settle into place. Rest in this space between the rules and the reality. Breathe in the stillness of the known, and breathe out the fear of the unknown. We are merely travelers, navigating the map, one step, one heartbeat at a time, as we move toward the resolution and the ultimate balance of life and work. And as that heartbeat settles into a steady, rhythmic thrum, we turn our gaze away from the employee handbook, away from the fine print, and toward the quiet sanctuary of the self. In this final space, we explore the resolution. We explore how to exist in a world where professional duties and personal affections intersect. Consider, for a moment, the concept of transparency. In the corporate world, secrecy is often the heaviest burden we carry. the weight of a hidden glance, the tension of a concealed emotion. These are the things that exhaust the spirit more than the work itself. When we ask if we can be fired, we are often asking if we are safe to be seen. If the environment allows, and if the policies offer a pathway, the act of disclosure can be a profound release. Imagine the sensation of setting down a heavy stone you have been carrying in your pocket. To speak the truth to a human resources representative, to sign a document acknowledging a relationship, is not merely a bureaucratic hurdle. It is a ritual of unburdening. It is the act of bringing the hidden into the light, where it can no longer fester in the shadows of anxiety. When we step into the light of honesty, the fear of discovery evaporates. The energy you once spent looking over your shoulder, worrying about who might see or who might say something, is suddenly returned to you. It flows back into your reserves, calming the nervous system, allowing you to focus once again on the task at hand. And if the answer is no, if the environment is one where such a union is forbidden, then the resolution comes from a different kind of clarity. It comes from the quiet understanding of priorities. We often fear the loss of a job because we have tied our identity so tightly to our titles. We believe that the desk, the email signature, the badge define who we are. But as we drift deeper into relaxation, we can see the truth. A job is a role we play. It is a garment we wear for a certain number of hours each day. It is not the skin beneath. If a choice must be made between a career path and a connection of the heart, there is no wrong answer, only the answer that brings you peace. Sometimes the universe uses these conflicts to nudge us toward a new path, a new office, a new beginning where we do not have to hide. Let us visualize the workday coming to its true end. The hypothetical scenarios are fading now. The office is emptying. Imagine yourself standing at your desk. The work is done. The computer screen goes dark, fading from a glowing window into a simple black mirror. You see your reflection there, calm, capable, whole. You pack your bag. The movement is slow and deliberate. You are leaving the role of the employee behind. You walk toward the elevator, the carpet silencing your footsteps. The hum of the building seems to lower its pitch, acknowledging your departure. You press the button, and the doors slide open with a gentle, welcoming chime. Stepping inside, you turn to face the closing doors. As they slide shut, they seal away the complexities of office politics, the hierarchy, the org charts, the potential conflicts of interest. They remain on the floor above. You are descending now, going down, floor by floor, leaving the weight of the at-will employment contract suspended in the air above you. With each floor you pass, you feel lighter. Passing the 10th floor, releasing the worry of what others think. Passing the 5th floor, releasing the fear of the future. Passing the 2nd floor, releasing the need for control. The doors open to the lobby. The air here is different. It is cooler, fresher. You walk across the polished stone floor toward the revolving glass doors that separate the professional world from the personal world. Push against the glass and step out into the evening air. Breathe it in. The air of the evening does not care about company policy. The wind blowing through the trees does not know your job title. The stars beginning to appear in the twilight sky do not operate under a code of conduct. You are simply a human being standing under the vast, endless canopy of the universe. In this space, the question of, "Can I be fired?" loses its sharp edges. It becomes small. You realize that your security does not come from a paycheck alone. Your security comes from your resilience. It comes from your ability to adapt, to love, to work, and to begin again if necessary. You are the architect of your own life, and no company owns the blueprints of your soul. Begin your journey home now. Perhaps you are walking, watching the city lights blur into soft streaks of gold and amber. Perhaps you are sitting in a train, rocking gently with the rhythm of the tracks. The distance between you and the office grows with every second. The physical distance creates a mental distance, a soothing separation. You are moving toward your sanctuary, toward the place where you are not a coworker, not a subordinate, not a manager. You are simply you. If there is a partner in your life, a person you met in that glass-walled world, visualize that connection now, stripped of its professional context. Take away the office backdrop. Take away the water cooler. See the connection for what it is in its purest form. Two spirits finding comfort in one another. Whether that connection survives the office or exists outside of it, or becomes a memory, it has taught you something about yourself. It has reminded you that the heart does not clock in and out. And now, you are at your door. You turn the key. The lock clicks, a sound of finality and safety. You step inside. The familiar scent of home greets you. Soft fabrics, warm light, silence. You set down your things. You are shedding the last layers of the day. The armor of professionalism is removed. The vigilant mind, the one that navigates social hierarchies and analyzes risks, is told it can rest. Its watch is ended. Move toward your place of rest. The bed is waiting, cool and inviting. As you lie down, feel the mattress rise to support you. It holds you completely. There are no performance reviews here. There are no probationary periods. You are fully accepted, just as you are, in this moment of stillness. Let your eyes close. Reflect on the journey we have taken. We have looked at the hard structures of rules, the gray areas of negotiation, and now, the soft landing of perspective. We know that actions have consequences, but we also know that fear is a poor advisor. We navigate our lives with wisdom, with care, and with a gentle acceptance of what is. If the worry returns, if the thought, "What if?" tries to whisper to you again, imagine placing that thought into a small paper boat. Visualize a stream flowing gently beside you. The water is dark and calm, reflecting the moonlight. Place the paper boat on the water. Watch it drift away. It bobs on the surface, getting smaller and smaller, carried away by the current of peace. It disappears around the bend. It is gone. You are left with the quiet. Your breathing is slow and deep. Inhale, drawing in confidence and trust. Exhale, releasing doubt and tension. The office is a distant memory, a tiny speck in the landscape of your life. You are vast. You are peaceful. You are safe. Drift now. Drift into the space where all questions are answered by silence, where all contracts are dissolved into dreams, where the only rule is to rest. Good night. Sleep well and trust that everything will unfold exactly as it should.